In your headlines, the 52nd annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the CDB is officially in order. Another adjustment to accommodate backlog for officials of the Police Records Department. And CARPA says that to date, no confirmed cases of monkeypox have been reported in the Caribbean region. From the PTV Broadcasting Headquarters in Providenciales, your number one source for news, I'm Erica Pinales, delivering the latest from across the country this Wednesday, June 15th, 2022, right to your door. Newswatch starts now. The 52nd annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the CDB is officially in order as the opening ceremony was held today at 9 a.m. Here's more.
Coming out of a difficult period, many of our borrowing member countries face a conundrum of having to do more with less. It is therefore most fitting that we should theme the meeting today, Measure Better to Target Better, Adaptation and Resilience. Indeed, achieving the Special Development Goal, Sustainable Development Goal targets will require not only adaptation and resilience in a fast-changing global environment, but also a measuring system that considers the internal resilience capacity of our borrowing member countries.
The 52nd annual meeting of the Board of Governors has kicked off, and this morning at the opening ceremony, we saw compelling speeches urging member countries to take keen interest in supporting the bank.
At a time when we seem to be moving from one crisis to another, from severe storms, COVID-19, to supply chain challenges resulting from the Russian-Ukraine war and rising price inflation, all member countries need to take keen interest in supporting the bank and to ensure that it is equipped and able to help borrowing member countries navigate the challenges of food insecurity, renewable energy, climate change, and environmental degradation. Therefore, as we emerge in this, our very first face-to-face meeting since 2019, let this 52nd meeting of the Board of Governors serve as a clarion call for strengthening our regional partnership and recommitting to the changes that will be necessary for the sustainability of the CDB.
The Premier said that in the TCI and overseas territories, we faced and have gone through the worst of COVID-19 and are able to host this regional meeting face-to-face because of the partnership and support from a non-borrowing member of the CDB, the UK, making it possible to be able to open our borders earlier than many countries because of the gift of vaccines and technical support, and as a result of that, we are experiencing an economic recovery.
Our ability to support life and livelihood during the pandemic was, in addition to the availability of vaccines, the fact that we entered the pandemic with a strong economy and significant reserves which served us well. But our good fortune is not taken for granted, and we remain conscious that our gains can be erased by the full impact of a single Category 5 hurricane. So collectively we face the same threats, but together we are able to decrease our vulnerabilities and build resilience by smart planning and committed resources.
The Premier stated that crisis often gives us an opportunity to press the reset button, and the pandemic was no different. Our survival and sustainability, as he said, depends on reimagining our futures.
Working with the President and his team at the Caribbean Development Bank in planning for what we hope is a renewed interest by all member countries in reshaping the future of the bank, I am reminded by Stanford psychologist Jamal Zaki of the concept psychologists call growth through adversity. Zaki challenges us to be uncomfortable with merely rebuilding or the state of merely maintaining our position, or with the state of being unscathed by the adversity, but finding ways through the lessons of hardship to focus on what it will take to not survive, but to grow and to thrive. Growth, then, is charting a new course, escalating the former system, which will require us honing the ability to measure better, to target better.
Honorable Mizik believes that growth will require new ways of thinking about the value proposition of what it truly means to be partners and collaborate in our common interest.
Measuring better means that borrowing member countries will need to see the value of consistent engagement and discourse of the various issues that we can collectively address and for which we can and must find solutions. Solutions can be found when we invest in and support the Caribbean Development Bank by giving a voice at the table, articulating our considered view on perplexing matters, being a voice at times for a brother who is not doing as well as we are, by provision of resources, financial or otherwise. Solutions can be found in funding, research and development, and other interventions that will assist all of us. We are not clairvoyant, and difficulty comes to all mankind. We don't know how or when, but because it comes when we least expect it, then, as McCarthy would say, maybe the thing to do is to always expect it and be prepared for it.
Stay tuned for more of this story in a subsequent newscast. Another adjustment to accommodate backlog for officials of the Police Records Department. We bring you details on the new schedule and a look into the force's ongoing struggle with the timely processing of the document. Here's more.
Latest adjustments announced by the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands Police Force Press Office are that the days for police record collections are now Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. to have taken effect Monday, June 13th. This, once again, is to facilitate a backlog in the processing of police certificates. Applicants continue to complain over the application process, specifically the time frame in which they are completed for pickup, which can sometimes take months. Back in February, officials announced a review to the application and retrieval process in order to standardize an effective system from beginning to end, however, are still struggling with processing times. Residents have time and time again expressed their frustrations with the process and the inconvenience that comes along with it.
It's time for a quick break. More News Watch when we return.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Welcome back to News Watch. Days after reports broke that the death of U.S. tourist Marie Conla was being re-examined after 3 years of her body being discovered near the Club Med Resort, Commissioner of Police Trevor Botting commented on those proceedings. Here's that report.
The inquest into the death of American tourist Marie Konla was launched in a quest to settle on the manner of death in which Konla died back in 2018. The verdict was returned as homicide by manual strangulation.
This inquest spanned 7 days of evidence, and the jury deliberated for more than 7 hours over the last 2 days. And everyone involved in this case, Mrs. Konla's loved ones and the general public, owe them a great debt for their service and dedication to their difficult task.
Since the inquest was publicized just weeks ago, Commissioner of Police Trevor Botting says there has been a lot of speculation regarding the inquest and decided that it would be best to address the uncertainty and lack of information in the media, specifically international press, citing that it is now the appropriate time now that court proceedings have concluded.
One inaccuracy repeatedly reported is that this inquest is a review of a previous finding, and this is simply not the case. This is the first and only inquest into the death of Mrs. Konla. After the Ministry of Health pathologist, Dr. Michael Steckbauer, determined that the cause of death was manual strangulation on the 25th of October 2018, a murder investigation was immediately launched by senior members of the Royal Turks and Caicos Police Force.
Konla arrived in TCI on October 10, 2018, and stayed at the Club Med Resort. The evidence suggested that friends traveling with Konla began to worry about another guest becoming too comfortable with her and providing her with a large amount of alcohol, which was largely uncharacteristic of Konla, who was said to not have been an avid drinker. The same guest was later accused of indecent assault against Konla after an incident at the resort's pool.
The coroner and jury heard that her friends last saw Mrs. Konla on the evening of the 14th of October 2018 around 7 p.m. On the 15th of October, by the afternoon, her friends had become concerned they had not seen her since the night before. They began to search the resort as they feared she may have fallen unconscious on the property due to her seizure disorder and the fact that she had been, again, unusually for her, drinking heavily.
On the 16th of October, Konla's body was found near the bush of the resort's soccer field. In perhaps one of their most transparent press conferences to date, Botting revealed details of the court's proceedings.
Dr. Steckbauer reported that she was found in a bush with her face in a downward position with debris in her mouth, upper airway, and her clothing was askew. And the back of her blouse, come beach wrap, was torn.
Back in October 2018, the medical examiner said that he was unable to ascertain the evidence that would suggest manual strangulation due to the degree of decomposition of Konla's body. News of the inquest was reported over American media, accusing local law enforcement of launching an inquest as a result of the $10 million wrongful death lawsuit filed by the victim's family against the Club Med Resort. Botting says this is far from the truth.
At the conclusion of the inquest, they decided Mrs. Konla was unlawfully killed through manual strangulation, and that judgment is accepted by the Royal Turks and Caicos Police Force.
No one is being charged in connection with Konla's death. However, any new information that may arise as a result of the inquest will be investigated.
CARPA says that to date, no confirmed cases of monkeypox have been reported in the Caribbean region. Newswatch with the latest. Dr. Joy St. John, Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, quote, "However, the risk of spread to the Caribbean region is likely as travel is returning to pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. It is therefore important that CARPA member states raise awareness in frontline health workers and be on the alert for possible importation of cases so they can initiate a quick public health response," end quote. Newswatch learns that CARPA has signed an agreement with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to refer suspected samples from their member states for testing while they are in the process of procuring the necessary reagents to be able to implement molecular testing for monkeypox. Results may be received between 10 to 14 days after the arrival of samples at CARPA once referred to the CDC. In the interim, a commercial kit, monkeypox virus, real-time PCR kit produced by BioPerfectus Technologies, is in transit, and once received, CARPA says it will be verified for immediate use. If member states have suspected cases, CARPA advises they should contact for information on sending suspect samples. Dr. Lisa Indar, Director of Disease Surveillance, Prevention and Control, urges member states to remain vigilant for the importation of viral or other infections and monitor in-country syndromic surveillance systems for increases in fever and rash illness. Additionally, she believes member states should enhance surveillance and case investigation for monkeypox, alert port health officials to be vigilant for possible cases entering the country, and develop and disseminate public education materials on monkeypox as a re-emerging zoonosis. The availability of the smallpox vaccine in CARPA member states may be limited given that smallpox was declared eradicated by the WHO in 1980, and it has been more than 40 years since all countries ceased routine smallpox vaccination with vaccinia-based vaccines. Symptoms of monkeypox include exhaustion, fever, headache, backache, muscle ache, chills, and swollen lymph nodes. If you have close physical contact with someone who is showing symptoms, you can get monkeypox. This includes touching and being face-to-face. Dr. St. John advises that persons should avoid having close contact with anyone who has symptoms. Persons should protect themselves by practicing good hand hygiene, clean hands, objects, and surfaces that have been touched regularly, and avoiding skin-to-skin or face-to-face contact, including sexual contact with anyone who has symptoms. If you think that you may have symptoms or have been in close contact with someone with the virus, contact your physician for advice and medical care. CARPA is monitoring the spread of the disease and the scientific understanding of prevention and control as it evolves over time. Should monkeypox be identified in the region, CARPA will test samples from suspected cases, monitor the spread, and provide assistance to its member states through the creation of tools for investigation and epidemiological monitoring, and personnel are prepared to respond in country to assist in the investigation and control of a monkeypox outbreak should the need arise. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Coming up next is your weather forecast.
This is a reminder that all PTV service accounts are due on the first day of each month. Accounts should be brought up to date by the 28th of the month to avoid disruption in service. Payments may be made on our office at Stubbs Diamond Plaza, Providenciales, Mides Plaza, North Caicos, and Airport Road in South Caicos. Payments may also be made online using Scotiabank, CIBC First Caribbean Bank, and Royal Bank of Canada. Please allow 3 business days for online payments to be processed. We thank you for your cooperation.
Here's your weather forecast for June 16th, 2022. For the nation's capital, Grand Turk, on Thursday, partly cloudy skies, high 84, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For South Caicos, partly cloudy skies, high 84, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For North and Middle Caicos, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. For Parrot and Pine Key, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And on Providenciales, partly cloudy skies, high 85, low 79, winds east at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Now for your sunrise and sunset. Sunrise 6:07 a.m., sunset 7:34 p.m. And for your high tides and low tides, high tides 9:53 a.m., 10:19 p.m., and low tides 3:51 a.m., 3:52 p.m. And for your hurricane outlook, for the North Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, satellite and radar images suggest that a small area of low pressure is located along the east coast of Nicaragua, accompanied by a disorganized area of showers and thunderstorms. The disturbance is expected to meander slowly today, then drift northwestward along the coast of Nicaragua and Honduras later this week. Some slow development of this system is still possible if it moves back over the water. And that's it for your weather forecast and hurricane outlook. We'll be right back for more News Watch.
Here at People's Television, we're more than just your leading news and entertainment services. We are
spreading the gospel.
We are breaking barriers.
We are preserving the culture. Each one, teach one.
We are committed to excellence.
We're creating change.
We are creating memories.
We are the future.
I am PTV.
I am PTV. I am PTV.
I am PTV.
We are PTV.
We are continuing the legacy. We are PTV.
This story has so much valid information that we thought we'd run it again just in case you missed it. This consultation was aimed towards outlining the improvement of vital social, legal, political, economic, and cultural conditions of people in the TCI.
We will look at strategies that are essentially related to improving our response to gender issues at all levels. The world is changing, and that's why we feel this policy is very timely. But to achieve the goal of this policy, all stakeholders are required to take responsibility in their areas of interest. Hence, all sectors must work together to do three things: to develop, disseminate, and communicate this policy. That is the only way this policy will be successfully implemented.
The Ministry of Home Affairs say that they will play their part in advancing this gender equality policy to strengthen the institutional framework with a mandate to initiate, ordinate, and issue.
This will be done precisely that way to carry out the 12 critical areas of the Beijing Platform for Action, which states to advance the goal of equality, development, and peace for all women everywhere in the interest of humanity, as well as other international commitments, including the Sustainable Development Goals.
Gender equality means that women and men have equal conditions for realizing their full human rights and potential to contribute to national, political, economic, social, and cultural development, and to benefit from the results.
And sometimes, when we speak about gender equality, we don't see that unity. We think we're only talking about women. We're not. We're talking about unity and being united in creating a promised land for Turks and Caicos Islands, for the Caribbean. So I'm Tawny Broadbine, the representative of the UN Women Multi-Country Office. We cover 22 countries and territories in the Caribbean. From Barbados, some of our staff are in Jamaica, we have some staff in Guyana, as well as Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago. We're expanding as we speak to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, and Grenada. We are really delighted to be here. It's been some time since someone from my office has been in Turks and Caicos Islands. The last time we were here was when Turks and Caicos acceded to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women.
Tony Ann Broadber is the Deputy Resident Representative of UN Women in the Caribbean. UN Women is the UN organization dedicated to gender equality and the empowerment of women. A global champion for women and girls, UN Women was established to accelerate progress on meeting their needs worldwide.
Now, I'm sure many of you are aware of the Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework that the United Nations has entered into in the Caribbean region, and the 4 pillars across that framework: shared prosperity and leaving no one, and economic resilience, equality, well-being, and leaving no one behind, sustainable natural resource management, and peace, safety, justice, and rule of law. All of these pillars are not going to be able to be achieved without taking into consideration gender equality. Even something like climate change, and I'll get into that a little bit more. When I was in Jamaica, when travel was something that we did frequently, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, an immigration officer asked me why I was there. I explained why I was there, and he said, "What gender has to do with this? Explain to me." And he actually took some time to sit with me and talk about it. And I said, "Well, we're here for a climate change meeting. And the reason gender has something to do with this is because if you don't know what the vulnerabilities are of the women in your community and the men in your community, you are not going to be able to provide adequate support for their resilience.
We gather that in line with international agreements and the Beijing Platform for Action, and through years of dedicated advocacy by women's movements, a number of countries have acted to advance gender equality by changing constitutions, creating women's affairs ministries or institutes, reforming civil codes, penalizing gender-based violence, and enacting gender-based quotas for political offices. Stay tuned for more of this story in a subsequent newscast. And that brings us to the end of this edition of The Real News. I hate to leave you so soon, but of course, you can join us right back here every weekday at 6:30 p.m. and tap into our social media platforms at www.ptv8tci.com. I'm Erica Pinales, keeping you informed, updated, and affiliated. Until next time.